In today's segment, I'm going to discuss why nobody, especially Christians, should be a supporter of Nick Fuentes. And for those of you who don't know who he is, he's basically a white nationalist, self-proclaimed Nazi that has overtaken the political realm, especially in the conservative MAGA right realm of politics. I know this is outside of the typical reaction videos I do, but I watched this video from Ruslan, the gentleman on the right, and it's really unbelievable some of the statements he espouses and how really antithetical it is to Christianity. So let's get into it.
Nick Fuentes, is it Fuentes or Funt? I like saying
I think it's Fuentes.
Fuentes. Nick Fuentes. I get his name right, ladies and gentlemen. Nick Fuentes said he might turn Islam.
Yeah.
The amount of glazing for Islam that happens by the far right, by the Tuckers, by the Nick, is hilarious to me. Now, I know they're all different, and I know there's a lot of infighting, and they kind of don't like each other, but do like each other. But again, remind you, those of you guys that are like, oh, he's based, just to rehash where we are with this dude. He lives in his mother's basement. He's never been married. He has no children. He has no girlfriend. He has no fiance. He said marriage is gay. He said he's asexual.
No, is that fake?
Well, we don't know.
Oh, okay.
We don't know.
This is cool. This is wild. And this is actually true. He has said this, that having sex is gay, or being married, being with a woman is gay. So definitely pretty big red flags, but that's not even the least insanity stuff that he says.
Because the audience, his cult, will say, well, no, you just don't get it. You got to watch the whole thing. You got to watch the whole thing because you don't know if he's just trolling. He's playing a character. It's a bit.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah.
It's a bit.
Okay.
Right? Or is it?
Yeah, where is it?
By the way, he's done 2 streams now with bisexual and or gay men. Was that a troll too? I don't know. Went on dates.
What happened when the cameras were off?
He was caught on a date with Destiny.
For real?
Out in public. Anyway, I don't know. I don't know anything about that man's sexuality.
I don't know. I'm just asking questions.
I'm just asking questions. So now he is a full-on saying, just play the clip.
These apps, they want to, and it literally is coming from these stupid in their lives. Okay. And honestly, even without all that, this has been going on for 200 years, okay? This has been going on for 200, 300 years. And honestly, this whole wife guy thing, it's just got to stop. And I know that's never going to be a popular position. Frankly, I don't care.
Wife guy thing? Is that about a husband? Like someone getting married? Is that his?
He thinks marriage is gay. Well, we're out of context for quoting him directly.
This is interesting that he makes this claim that being a wife guy, people gotta stop doing that. Now, is he talking about this sort of popular narrative of, wife, happy life, where you just ignore the husband's happiness altogether? Then of course I can get on board with that. But if you're talking about completely this whole wife guy thing as the fact that men shouldn't have a wife, even though the majority of men have the desire to be with a woman, then how else should men fulfill that desire? Because the gospel says very clearly that, as Paul says it clearly in the gospels, that instead of having a burning desire, if you have a burning desire, you should be in marriage with a woman, and she will help fulfill that desire for you in your lifetime. Being with one woman your entire life, barring death, you stay with that woman your entire life. And so, what else is he proposing? What other solution is he proposing? It just seems strange to me.
And he'd rather marry himself.
So would he rather have like a sexual revolution like the left?
No, I don't know. I think he
he
wants to roll the clock back.
To what?
He's about to get there.
It's never going to be a popular position to be against the wife guys. But let's just say this. Schopenhauer was right about women. Let's just say that much. Schopenhauer was right about women. And I just have no respect for wife guys. You will never, these will never convince me.
He's like crashing out on his dad. His dad's upstairs paying the bills.
The idea that saying the irony of calling people who are married
to women
the F slur.
What in the world, bro?
Is this your king?
This is like the ultimate. This is the ultimate like overcompensation. It's dumb how accurate that thing is, which is like guy with the big truck and like, oh, you overcompensating for something, or like the super hyper conservative. How they always be like, oh, if they're super conservative, they're probably closeted gay. But it's like there's this guy talking where you're like, maybe they have a point to that. Like if you're like that,
yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is really fascinating because he seems very passionate and very, very idealistic with his ideas and all of that, but He's living in his mother's basement. This is actually true because I've looked it up, and he did. He moved out of some expensive apartment and he moved in with his parents, living in his mother's basement and all of that. And again, in a tough economy, I understand. I'm not stating that that's a bad thing necessarily, but this is a man that is promoting this idea of a man being the complete leader in your life, being the alpha guy and all of that. And yet he's living this life where he's clowning on people for even getting married. And yet you're living in a household where, if it's somewhat traditional in any capacity, the man is providing the majority of the money for the bills and all that for you to live there. So it's just very hypocritical to see this, to see this happening. And even if he's not paying for the majority of the bills, he's helping with his wife paying the majority of the bills. So it's just interesting.
And then it goes so far that you're like, now it's LGTV to be married to a woman.
Yep.
Like, oh man, you missed the plot.
That real masculinity is being a provider for your wife. You'll never convince me of that. As long, and it does. You can say whatever you want about me until the day that.
The sound bites from this are incredible.
Real masculinity is being a provider for other people,
for your wife.
That your wife and your family that you are responsible for.
I can't believe he's saying that like unironically.
He's playing a bit. It's a bit, Zach.
Oh, dude, it's a joke.
It's a joke. You just don't get it. You're not sophisticated enough.
You have to be on the stream.
Your palate is not sophisticated enough to understand his degree of brilliance and humor.
Okay, that makes sense.
I love how Ruslan and his partner here, or his coworker, the guy that does the show with him, I love how they both clowning him in a very humorous way, but also pointing very factually that it's a ridiculous point to say that it's not masculine to provide for your family when literally in 1 Timothy, as you guys can see right here, 1 Timothy chapter 5 verse 8 very clearly states, but if anyone does not provide for his own, especially for those, I can't highlight it here, but here we go, especially for those of his household. So let me repeat that. But if anyone does not provide for his own, and especially for those of his household, he has denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever. I mean, and what is Nick Fuentes stating right here? He's stating that men shouldn't provide, they shouldn't pay for the bills, and that is absolutely anti-biblical right there. And again, sure, I'm not saying you just hand out your money to any woman that you're attracted to or interested in or dating on the first date, just throw your money at her. I'm not saying that at all. But to state that a man shouldn't provide in any context at all for anybody their whole life, I mean, it's completely antithetical to the Bible. Absolutely. And the fact that this man states and tells everybody that he's a very strong Catholic, this goes absolutely against Catholic teachings, because one of the biggest, I don't want to say biggest, but a very crucial sacrament in the Catholic Church is marriage between one man and one woman. And he's absolutely trashing it left and right.
That I die, you will never convince me of what they say, which is, a real man. I saw one of these guys, he said, real masculinity is holding your newborn and crying, praying to God that everything's going to be okay. That's a real thing I saw from one of these people. And that's like a verbatim quote.
Okay.
What is wrong with having a newborn? By the way, he wouldn't understand because he's never had a kid. Your first kid, your first newborn will do that to you.
Yeah.
When you have your first kid, it aligns so much of who God is, the understanding of how miraculous life is, and the idea that now you are responsible for another human being here.
Hello.
That should break you and bring you to tears. And if you don't have a wife or kids,
That's gay.
then I understand how you would think that that's gay.
Nah, he's right. That's gay.
I think this is a really good point, because it's very hard to relate to certain topics and issues when you're not in that position. When you're not married, when you don't have your first child, it's easy to clown somebody for their emotions, especially a man in today's world. I mean, obviously. But at the same time, one thing I can agree with Nick Fuentes on is that, yes, it is not a masculine trait, specifically masculine as in defined in the dictionary, to be vulnerable when you have your baby. Sure, of course it's not masculine for a man to cry and be vulnerable when he has his first child, but at the same time, just because it's not a masculine trait doesn't mean that it's necessarily negative, because the Bible says that children are a blessing in our world. When we have our first child, it's a blessing, it's a gift from God. The fruit of the womb is a reward. That's a quote specifically in the Bible. And so when we just enjoy this blessing from God, I truly believe that it's glorifying God to be in absolute awe of his creation.
What? That's great.
He said, you know what, Groypers? Real masculinity is holding your newborn in the middle of the night, crying, praying to God that everything's going to be okay. I said, are you kidding me? That's a domestic scene. That's literally what a woman does. That's a definition of femininity. A mother clutches the newborn, crying, praying for the future. That's a mother's job.
Of course, traditionally, that's a mother's job to take care of the baby at night and all that stuff. But again, this is actually wrong to state that. Sure, it's not a super masculine thing, but at the same time, there is research of the sort of kangaroo style. It sounds kind of strange saying it like that, but there's research and many studies that now there needs to be more research. But according to this 2022 study, men that hold their babies on their chest, skin to skin contact, their baby has a much more peaceful environment. They have less stress physiologically, and so on. And it's very important. And in fact, doctors advise that men hold their babies to their chest, their newborns, when they're first born, because it helps regulate their system in many ways. So there needs to be a lot more research. There was a study that I saw in Taiwan for this as well. But this is just to show that men are crucial in raising a baby, no matter what this guy says.
What, were you breastfeeding your newborn too? Were you breastfeeding your kid? Were you rocking the kid and breastfeeding it while you're crying?
No, we give the newborn a pacifier as men.
Wait till
or a bottle.
Wait till he learns about bottles.
Yeah, this is gonna blow his mind.
It's the next gayest thing ever.
You mean to tell me
you're giving him a teat and giving him milk? Oh,
you're taking the milk out of your wife and giving it to your newborn? That is gay.
I mean, men need to start doing what they feel and being who they are.
Respectfully.
I mean, was that the most feminine woman sentence ever? Men need to be men and start doing what they feel and being who they are. Okay, what are you, a daggone Tumblr quote from 2012, bro?
For him to prescribe.
Yeah, this is a really great point. For him to say that men need to do what they want and do what they feel, that's absolutely anti-biblical, because every Christian knows, if they've even opened up the scripture for, even went to church lessons, we all know, or Sunday school lessons, we all know and understand that our flesh is weak and we are bound by sin in our flesh. So if we want to do whatever we want, if we want to see a prostitute, we want to go to the club, if we want to fool around with women and fall in for lust, want to steal something, instant gratification, that is everything that a man wants, the flesh wants. So this idea that we should just follow our flesh and do what we want and not be providers, not get married because it's gay, which is antithetical and absolutely the complete opposite of gay, then, that's something this is something that guys shouldn't follow. Because I know many men follow this guy, Nick Fuentes, and it's very questionable, some of the stuff he's saying.
All of this as a single guy living in a basement, yapping about utter nonsense.
Yapping about how procreation is gay. Is insane.
Yeah. And by the way, you will not understand what it's like to hold your first child and cry until you have your first child.
Yeah.
So all of that is going to seem very foreign to you.
Yeah.
Talking to that guy, Tommy G, who was over here, he said, my wife is like a mythical creature. Tucker said, my wife is so mysterious. What? It's insane. Real masculinity is breastfeeding your newborn. Okay, you have gone insane.
Breastfeeding your newborn. They didn't say that.
It's it's enough. It makes
when he understands about bottles and pumping.
Yeah, he's like,
it's gonna be over.
Wow, the real feminization men is here.
It's enough. It makes you want to convert to Islam, and I don't. But Muslims are straight up right about women. The East is. This is why the West is dying. The West is dying because we are simps.
Hey. You know that whole thing about age of consent? Bro, that's so simp.
That's so simp.
Bro, you know that thing of their prophet having a 6-year-old wife that he consummated the marriage with at 9?
That's based.
That's based, bro. They got it right about women. Child brides, 9 years old. Hey, bro, as long as she's nearing puberty.
Which is legalized in many Muslim countries, by the way.
Why can't you consummate the marriage? That's what the prophet did.
Imagine siding with the religion that martyred your own people.
Imagine siding with the religion.
That's a really great point that he brings, because many Orthodox Christians were martyred and killed, especially in the Middle East, with the rise of Islam, and also in Africa and everywhere. It's really sad.
That till this day participates in child marriage.
Hello, they're right about women.
But they're right about women.
You didn't say women. Do you mean kids?
Which? Wait a second. This is your king.
Wow.
Either he's absolutely asinine to anything regarding Islam and the treatment of women, or he's even more demented and disturbed than I initially anticipated.
Yeah.
It's one of the two. Go ahead.
We are being bossed around and controlled by women, even when we're not. Even when we're not, psychologically we are. Because
Hold on.
Doesn't it should make you want to be with a dude for the rest of your life?
Hold on real quick. What we?
Yeah.
Nick, you have no woman. There is no we here, bud.
It's the OnlyFans.
You're
chat.
alone. You're alone.
The chat with the only.
It's just you. There is no we. And
Man, that's so
and
good.
any man that's following Jesus and actually looking at the biblical mandate of what it means to be a husband will tell you that marriage is pretty awesome.
That's embarrassing that you just said.
It's pretty awesome, bro.
That's funny. But yeah, I think on it, even to go beyond that, it's not just awesome, but there's a lot of sacrifice. And when you're married, especially when you have a child, I don't have a child yet, but when you're married, you understand, you see yourself in the mirror more. So the way that you're more selfish, the way that you are, the way that you act, you can't be as self-righteous when you're married because you have somebody to check you on a lot of things, you know, to check you on your selfishness, or whether you're not as giving as you think, or as understanding as you think, whether that's emotionally or physically, etc. And so all these things you learn in marriage. And that's what people like Nick don't understand. And that's likely why he'll remain single, because he can't comprehend the idea of this sort of companionship for a lifelong time. Clearly. And he could be trolling or not, but regardless, when you say something so many times, it doesn't really matter if you're trolling or not, because your statements are going to be taken as king, as the guy states. They're going to be taken as king all the time. And this is a big problem. And to say that you would want to consider converting to Islam because of the treatment to women, the fact that they can hit women is viable in the Quran, and the fact that they can hit them and have pain. The fact that Muhammad had multiple wives, not just Aisha, the marriage was consummated at 9 years old. They got married at 6 years old, but had several different wives. I think even one of his wives was someone else that he knew. It's so demented. It's absolutely ridiculous. And so yeah, this is just it's crazy, the fact that so many of these radicals, including Tucker Carlson, who has a lot of good, has his own content and all that, but they pedestalize Muslims in a lot of ways when they see the horrendous acts that Israel is doing, and yet they think that Islam is treating Christians better, when history shows that Muslim conquestors murdered many Christians, and that's one of the reasons why Africa and the Middle East has many more Muslims now. And we can see what's happening in Nigeria and I forget the other country, but regardless, the atrocities and persecution that is ongoing right now.
It's pretty awesome. There's a lot of good things.
Hello.
If you look at the overall trajectory of men who are married and how well they perform on every measurable metric, it blows out single men. It blows out divorced men.
Come on.
Married men outperform in every measurable metric.
Because a woman is influencing them.
Right.
Crazy.
Who
That
would
makes
have
us
thought?
ridiculous.
Yeah, so I'll end that there. I think that's pretty much it. Yeah. So several things that I want to state regarding Nick Fuentes. So outside of his horrendous views on being a self-declared neo-Nazi and a white nationalist and all that, and putting his political views aside, because this is not going to be a political video, I can go on for many minutes about that. As a Christian, what are his values as a Christian? What does he say? The biggest sort of Christian theology that he espouses is Christian authoritarianism via the Catholic Church or Catholicism authority. That's what he always espouses, but that's because he espouses a much more of a dictatorship type of mentality when it comes to controlling the population, immigration, and all that. But when you relate this to the Bible itself, number one, he doesn't value marriage. Marriage is it's a very crucial and important sacrament in the Catholic Church. You don't have to get married. You're not forced to get married. But when you do, which the majority of men want to do because they want to be with a woman their entire life, due to burning desire, like I talked about earlier, they get married in the Catholic Church. And I'm only relating to this. I'm not Catholic, but I'm only relating to this because he claims to be Catholic. And so marriage is very important in the Catholic Church. It's a sacrament, and both people have to be members of the church in order to get married in the church. And he's calling this gay. He's calling marriage gay, being a husband and having to care for children, providing for the family. something that men shouldn't do. What he's doing and what his rhetoric is espousing is leading men away from the Bible into self-destruction. And he is the exact fruits of this. He's living in his mother's basement. And again, I have no issue with living in your mother's basement for a time being. If you got to do what you got to do. It's a tough economy and all that. I get it. I'm not disparaging him for that. But to be this self-proclaimed alpha male and do whatever you want, well, you're living in your mother's basement. You have no wife. I'm pretty sure he doesn't have a girlfriend. He has all these subtle sort of gay mentalities that he talks about. And so calling marriage gay and all that. So these are all red flags that lead away from Christ completely. And then talking about Islam and all of that, I got into that just a minute ago. So yeah, this guy isn't to be taken seriously at all as a serious Christian. I think all Christians need to stand up to what he says, regardless if you're conservative or liberal in politics. Regardless of that, we all need to stand up to this. So yeah, those are some of my thoughts on him. And yeah, this is definitely a different type of video. I don't usually do these kinds of videos, but I just had to put this information out there. So please like, share, subscribe to the channel. Comment your thoughts below if you think that Nick Fuentes is at all a decent Christian. I don't want to say that he's not a decent Christian. I'm a decent Christian, because we all fall short of the glory of God. So I'm going to put that out right now. I'm not going to try to be prideful or self-righteous in any way, but I'm just talking about this video itself. This content itself is destructive to the Christian movement, in my opinion. So please put your thoughts below and share with a friend or two. And thank you all for watching.